Okay, so there is this new video from Veritasium about a problem in which they claim that the two solutions are valid. And here in this video, I'm going to demonstrate that's not the case. One solution is rational, the other one is not. And we are going to uh, see what is the explanation for the supposedly also valid and rational choice. I'm gonna destroy it. I'm gonna show with numbers and with logic how that's not only not the case, but cannot be the case. But first, let's listen to the setup of the problem, and then let's see the rationale for one of the choices.
Here. So here's the setup. You walk into a room and there's a supercomputer and two boxes on the table. One box is open and it's got $1,000 in it. There's no trick, you know it's $1,000. The other box is a mystery box. You can't see inside. You also know that this supercomputer is very good at predicting people.
Okay, so let's list this. You know this supercomputer is very good at predicting people. Okay, we know that.
It has correctly predicted the choices of thousands of people in the exact
All right, it has correctly predicted the choices of thousands of people.
problem you're about to face. Now, you don't know what that problem is yet, but you do know that it has been correct almost every time.
Okay, you know it has been correct almost every time. So right from the beginning, we see a key part of the problem, even before we know what the problem is. Let's keep listening.
Now, the supercomputer says you can either take both boxes, that is, the mystery box and the $1,000, or you can just take the mystery box. So, what's in that mystery box? Well, the supercomputer tells you that before you walked into the room, it made a prediction about your choice. If the supercomputer predicted you would just take the mystery box and you'd leave the $1,000 on the table, well, then it put $1 million into the mystery box. But if the supercomputer predicted that you would take both boxes, then it put nothing in the mystery box. The supercomputer made its prediction before you knew about the problem, and it has already set up the boxes. It's not trying to trick you, it's not trying to deprive you of any money. Its only goal is to make the correct prediction. So, what do? Do you take both boxes, or do you just take the mystery box?
Okay, I'm gonna give you time to pause the video on the answer. Mm, choose your answer in a bit. Let's keep listening.
Don't worry about how the supercomputer is making its prediction. Instead of a computer, you could think of it as a super intelligent alien, a cunning demon, or even a team of the world's best psychologists. It really doesn't matter who or what is making the prediction. All you need to know is that they are extremely accurate.
And there it is. Fact. The supercomputer is extremely accurate. Once again, this fact is reiterated.
That they made their prediction before you walked into the room. Pause the video now if you want to think about it.
All right. So, hopefully you already made your choice. My choice is just take the mystery box. Why? Because the supercomputer is gonna correctly predict my choice. Very, very likely. Okay, so because in that case, it's gonna put $1 million in the mystery box, and I take that. Right? If somebody else does anything else, which is pick both boxes, once again the supercomputer is very likely to predict that. It's gonna put $0 in the mystery box, so you're gonna wanna walk away with 1,000. So obviously every rational person is gonna pick 1 million over 1,000. That is the only rational choice. So The only um, question mark is what about the people that are stupid or irrational, let's say? Well, we know that people are like that, so maybe some people are going to pick both boxes. But for me, it doesn't matter because the supercomputer is going to know, like, oh, he's not like one of those. He's going to pick the mystery box just like I would. So I get 1 million. But now let's look at the rationale for the other side. Casper is going to explain why two boxes make sense for him.
Boxes. So here's how I think about the problem in a way that actually makes sense. You know that the supercomputer has already set up the boxes. So whatever I decide to do now, it doesn't change whether there's $0 or $1 million in that mystery box.
True.
And that gives us 4 possible options that I've written down here. If there is $0 in the mystery box, then I could 1 box and get $0, or I could 2 box and get $1,000. But there
Yes.
could also be $1 million in the mystery box. And in that case, I would get $1 million if I 1 box, or I would get $1 million and $1,000 if I 2 box. So I'm always better off by picking both boxes.
True, but he is ignoring the listed facts. The supercomputer is very good at predicting people. It has correctly predicted the choices of thousands of people. It has been correct almost every time. The supercomputer is extremely accurate, all right? So these are not the same. This is not 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. No. The probability of this 1 box and 0 is pretty much 0%. Why? Because if you pick 1 box, the supercomputer is going to predict that you picked 1 box and it's going to put 1 million there. So this is not 0 is not going to happen. In the case of 2 boxes, once again, the supercomputer is going to predict that you're going to pick 2 boxes and it's going to put 0 in the other side. So you're going to get 1,000, not 1 million. The probability that you're going to get 1 million is almost 0. So let's actually assign a value. Okay, so we know that the supercomputer has correctly picked thousands of correct choices. So assuming the worst case scenario, which is basically a coin flip, what is the probability that a coin flip is going to be correct 1,000 times, like heads 1,000 times? So it's 9 to the power of minus 300. So that's more than the atoms in the universe. That's pretty much impossible that something so random could correctly predict 1,000 times. So let's pick something else. Let's say P equals 99. Let's say 99% accuracy. Still, it's 0.00004. So that's like very, very unlikely that a predictor, which is 99% accurate, is going to be correct 1,000 times in a row. That's pretty much impossible. So it has to be more than that. So 99.99%. In that case, we get a 90% likelihood. So that's pretty good, but actually it's probably more than that. It's probably 0.99999. That gives us 99% that it could predict 1,000 times correctly. So, but let's be conservative and then just say 99.99%. So that's our P. P equals that, which is the same as P equals 1 minus 1 over 10,000. So that's 1 in 10,000 tries is going to fail once, basically. That's our P, that's our probability. So the probability that you're going to get $0 if you pick 1 box, it's pretty much 0. The probability that you're going to get $1 million, it's pretty much 99, it's almost 100%. And the other way around. If you pick two boxes, 99%, 99.99% likely that you're gonna get 1,000, at least 99.99%, and pretty much zero that you're gonna get more than 1 million. So that is the fact that he is ignoring. And that's it. Case closed. Like he's wrong, he's not being rational, he's ignoring one uh, very crucial fact, the first fact that is listed in the problem. But let's be charitable and keep listening to his rationale, because according to him, there is another fact that overrides this first fact.
This is known as strategic dominance, where I always pick the dominant strategy, which in this case is to 2-box. So give me those boxes.
Sure. Let's skip ahead uh, to the point where he's trying to convince someone else that his choice is the rational one.
That is pretty convincing. Casper, I'm starting to really doubt this 2-box side of things.
How could you not be a 2-boxer?
Gregor has this really funny way of thinking about things, but I make my decision based off something else, something a little more rational, because I believe that whatever I do now can't influence and change the past.
There it is.
Because I believe that whatever I do now can't influence and change the past.
He's saying, I believe whatever I do now can't influence and change the past. We're not talking about what you believe, we're talking about facts. But even in that case, even if, let's say that that's true, that what you do now cannot influence the past, the fact that he's saying, I believe, it's really relevant, as we'll see in a moment.
I only take into account things that I can actually influence. And clearly, whatever I do now, whatever I think now, is not going to change whether that $1 million is going to be in the mystery box or not, because it was already set up before I learned about the problem. This is known as causal decision theory, where you only take into account things that you can actually cause. And so with this, your expected utility calculation changes. And that's because you need to use a different probability, one where you could actually cause that $1 million to be in the mystery box or not. So right before the supercomputer made its prediction, there was some probability that it thought I was going to 1-box. I know, it's weird, but bear with me. So let's say
I mean, that is a very illogical way of thinking. I'm going to show why, but let's keep listening to this rationale.
That probability is P. Then that's the probability that I'm going to use in my expected utility calculation.
Okay, the probability that the supercomputer thought Casper will 1-box, but he is precisely the kind of person that will choose 2 boxes. So this probability is going to be 1 in 10,000. Pretty much 0. Yes.
And the expected utility to 1-box is just going to be 0 plus $1 million times P.
Okay, so 0 plus $1 million times P, which is 100.
That's pretty good. But the expected utility for 2-boxing is going to be $1,000 plus $1 million times P.
Okay, so the same thing, except 1,000. So that's 1,100.
But that's just the same as the expected utility for 1-boxing plus an extra $1,000. So no matter what the computer predicted, my expected utility is always higher by picking both boxes.
No, because P is not some unknown value that we don't know. We know that this is pretty much 0. So what is much more likely to happen is this: you're gonna get 1,000 plus 0. So just 1,000. That's it. If you pick two boxes, I'm not gonna pick 2 boxes, so I'm gonna get 1 million. Um,
So of course you're gonna 2-box. Anyone in their right mind would pick both boxes.
It's made the prediction
no,
before you're in there. Whether I have faith in this thing being 90%, 100%, it actually doesn't really matter. I think you guys are imposing your will
Yes,
on
it
the
does. He's cooking, bro. Like,
it doesn't.
yeah, you guys think that your decision,
I
whatever
mean,
you
it
think
does.
now is gonna change the past. That's called wishful thinking.
Yeah,
No,
like come on. I'm 2 boxes. I'm 2 boxes. It only makes sense. I'm back with Casper.
Exactly. Welcome to Camp 2-Boxers.
I'm not losing $1 million. It was never in the room, man. You're gonna walk into a room and there's either money in the room or there isn't money in the room. Your question is, do you pick it up?
Of course.
We're trying to do you a favor here.
You're not doing me a favor because your decision making does not affect your little thought does not change God's mind, bro.
Henry,
except there is no God, no evidence for that, and there is no free will. Again, no evidence for that either. They mention free will later on, but if like let's assume that there is no free will. If that's the case, then whatever you pick, you are gonna pick anyway. There was no way of changing that. So the supercomputer is gonna pick on the clues that are already there. Like maybe you voted from one person and people who vote for that person are more likely to pick one box, or maybe you don't believe in free will and the supercomputer knows that, so you are more likely to pick one box. Whatever set of characteristics the supercomputer is using to correctly predict, like with 99.99% accuracy, you were gonna pick that anyway, right? So the illusion here is actually the other way around. Those are the guys that have wishful thinking. They wish that they can change, uh, they can cause changes, that they can actually choose something other than what they were going to choose, which is not true. Everything points to the fact that there is no free will. There's videos in Veritasium showing that. They just want to deny that reality exactly the same way that they want to deny this reality that the supercomputer is very good at predicting people. So basically, they are saying like, I don't believe this is possible, so I'm gonna ignore this fact. That's really where it boils down to. So this is actually a fallacy called argument from incredulity, which is basically like, I don't believe how this is true, so it cannot be true. Right? Here's an example. Like Marty says, Doc, I'm from the future. I came here in a time machine that you invented. Now I need your help to get back to the year 1985. The doc says, I've had enough practical jokes for this one evening. Good night, future boy. Of course, like the doctor doesn't see how that's possible, so he assumes it's not happening. But that's not how reality works. Reality is what it is, regardless of what you believe, of what you think, of what you think is possible, right? You don't see how something is possible, that doesn't mean that it is not. So, and in this case, it's not even that there is evidence for this being true. It's stated as true, but it's the personal incredulity fallacy is saying like, I don't believe that this fact here is possible, so this fact is not a fact. So they cannot even conceive of this hypothetical scenario, and that's really the fault here. They cannot conceive one of the premises of this scenario, so they are picking the wrong answer.
if you convince yourself that you're a one boxer, you've convinced the machine.
I don't believe that.
What do you mean you don't?
I don't believe you convincing yourself should impact what the machine thinks of you. Because
There it is again. I don't believe that you convincing yourself should impact what the machine thinks of you. So I believe this, I don't believe that. That's wishful thinking. Like they don't believe this fact could be true, so it cannot be true. Um, but that's actually not how reality works. So right now, what date is it? 10th of March. There is this question: what will be the price of oil by the end of March? We don't know the future. We cannot know the future, but we can make a prediction. I'm gonna say it's gonna be higher than $100. It could be 110. It could be 120. I don't know, but I think it's very likely that it's gonna be higher than 100. So I can make a prediction, assign a probability, and place a bet on that prediction. I might be wrong. I might be right. We don't know. But if it happens to be the case, let's say at the end of March the price is 104. That's the true price. My prediction turned out to be true. Did I influence the future today? No. Just because my prediction happened to be true doesn't mean that I influenced it. That's how predictions work. You are guessing what the future could be based on available information in the present. People who don't make predictions uh, ignore the fact that there's plenty of information today uh, to make a correct prediction. The problem is that most people don't have that information. But anyway, I made a prediction in the past that Donald Trump was going to be president with 65% chance. So maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, but I made a prediction based on information that other people did not have, and my prediction turned out to be true. That's how predictions work. And it's the same case in this problem. The supercomputer is making a prediction based on available information before you enter the room. And we know that the supercomputer is extremely accurate. So whatever information the supercomputer is using to make a prediction, it's useful, regardless of whether you want to uh, believe that or not. So you don't believe that the supercomputer is extremely accurate, that's a fault of yours. You lack imagination, you don't see how that's possible, you believe in God, you believe in free will. That's wishful thinking. The fact remains the supercomputer is extremely accurate.
Often you're just walking into a room and it's already made the prediction. You can't impact it, you know?
So whatever you think is more important.
But you don't have to impact it. Okay? The supercomputer can make a prediction, and we know that whatever prediction the supercomputer made is very likely to be correct.
Whether that's the evidence of the supercomputer's accuracy or the fact that the boxes are already set up, well, that affects how you calculate the expected.
Yeah, but he's wrong. Because it's not that there's evidence that the supercomputer is very good. It's stated as a fact. So you can ignore the evidence. You can ignore the thousands of people that the supercomputer has made a correct prediction because it's listed as a fact. It's not the evidence, it's the fact. And even in the case of, okay, let's look at the evidence. So here's a plot of what will be the likely probability of the accuracy of the predictor. So if the supercomputer made 10 successful guesses or predictions, what is the probability that is like 60% accurate? It's pretty much zero, right? It's very likely more than 80% with 10 successful guesses. If it's 1,000, I mean 100, still like the chances that it's 0.6 is basically zero. it's very, very likely that it's more than 90% accurate. And we know it has had thousands of successes. So it's this red line is pretty much 100%, 99.999 whatever percent likely. So why are you gonna bet that this is not true? I actually made a program here that is gonna show true if based on this probability, like 1 in 10,000 times, is gonna show false. So what do you bet? Do you bet it's gonna show true or false? Well, it's true. And it's gonna be true almost every time, as it's stated in the problem, right? So that's it. Like there is no way it is rational to ignore that fact. This is wishful thinking if you ignore the fact that is listed as a fact, and the fact that this guy is choosing to focus on another aspect, which is that the prediction happened before the decision. It's not only irrelevant, it's stupid, because that's how predictions are made before the event, right? Like this prediction only makes sense to be done before the end of March, right? It will be like, I predict that the price of oil by the beginning of the day today is going to be, well, we already know the answer. That's how predictions work. They have to be, in order for them to be meaningful, they have to be made beforehand. And plenty of predictions turn out to be true. Like, here's one. Many people made this prediction. Many people turn out to be correct. And the supercomputer is going to make a prediction, and it's going to very likely be correct. In fact, this guy made a prediction in that video.
It's so funny because I was totally expecting you to go 2 bucks.
No way. No.
There it is. That's a prediction that happened before the event, just like all predictions. The fact that this guy is bad at making predictions doesn't mean that the supercomputer is. If I'm the kind of person that believes that predictions can be accurate, the supercomputer is gonna know that and correctly guess that I'm gonna pick $1 and I'm gonna get $1 million. This guy is the kind of person who chooses to focus on, who believes that if a prediction happened before the event, that's somehow meaningful when it's obviously not. The supercomputer is also going to know that, and is gonna put 0 in the mystery box. So he's gonna get $1,000, right? So Casper is choosing to ignore a fact that is listed as the premises, as one of the premises of the problem. But it is a fact, right? The chances that the supercomputer is going to correctly predict his choice and my choice is not just possible, but is stated as pretty much a certainty. He wants to ignore that fact, I don't. So his choice is illogical, mine is not. It's that simple.